know that you have, 'cause there's magic in my eyes. I can see for miles and miles and miles.
Oprah's Soul Series webcast is brought to you by Honda, the power of dreams.
Welcome to my Soul Series. Soul Series is part of Oprah and Friends, exclusively on XM Radio Channel 156. And you can listen to the entire Soul Series collection on xmradio.com/Oprah. It's uplifting, enlightening, truly powerful. Welcome to Soul Series. So glad you can join me again on my Soul Series this week. I've been hogging ECKHART Tolle, author of The Power of Now, to myself, and he's kindly been indulging my mini questions. I could really spend a day and a night and a weekend. Boy, would you be great for a slumber party. But since this is talk radio and you're listening to me on Oprah and Friends XM 156, I thought it would be really great to open up the lines and have him share his wisdom and indulge in your questions. I placed a brief paragraph on my website, Oprah.com, soliciting people who'd read The Power of Now and who had questions of their own for ECKHART. And I knew we'd get a great response, but I was blown away by the volume and the intensity of those responses that so many of you sent in. You know, ECKHART, well, you do know this, that you've literally transformed the lives of so many people. What does that feel like to you?
Well, I don't feel that I did it. Something happened through me, and that's how the book got written. And that's when I give talks or answer questions, I also feel not so much that I am doing it, but it's a process that happens when you become still. I always begin the answer to every question or the beginning of every talk I give is entering the stillness and becoming comfortable with not knowing. And out of that being comfortable with not knowing comes the knowing. And I don't identify with that which comes. I just allow that to come.
Wow. Well, that's called, well, yep, you said to us last week you weren't dominated by the ego, so you don't feel either it's great or not great, or isn't this a great thing, and isn't this wonderful, so many people are reading my book. You don't.
No, I remember my old ego, of course, would have loved it. But it really doesn't, I don't have that sense now of even having achieved anything as such. It's just being open for it to happen, being an open channel for the consciousness to evolve.
Gee, I love that. You know, I can't say that I am not dominated by my ego, but I do feel that sometimes when people will say to me, I've watched your show. I just was coming across the street here to radio, and there were 3 women standing on the corner who said, your show changed my life. And, you know, I was wanting to feel something about it, but I just sort of thought, well, okay.
Yes, because I have a feeling with you also that is happening, that many things that you do and say are actually come from a deeper place than the ego.
That's right. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
That's how I feel about it.
Yes.
Well, this is exciting. Wendy Graham is on the phone. Hello?
Hello. How are you, Oprah?
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, ECKHART. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work and sharing your life with the world. I am so grateful.
Thank
you.
And
the question I have for you this evening is, how do you embody what you talk about? You being free of the domination of ego. Can you please share your experience of living in the here and now?
Well, thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Basically, life becomes very, very simple. So I don't inhabit a world of problems because my primary interest and the primary focus of my conscious attention is always in the present moment. It doesn't mean that I'm not aware that there is a so-called future. I may be aware I have to go to this or that place, I have to be there in an hour or 2 hours, or tomorrow I'm going there. On the periphery of consciousness, there's always the knowledge of what needs to be done on that level. But the primary focus is always on the present moment. And so life becomes basically very simple, and it could also be described as a state of surrender to life, which is always the now. So my relationship with the now is a very friendly one. And I sometimes actually suggest to people that they can also, if they inhabit a life full of problems, they can actually also change their relationship to the present moment. So that's a very important question to ask yourself at any time. What is my relationship with this moment? And then you need to be alert and see, am I making this moment into an enemy? Am I treating it as if it were an enemy? Or am I treating this moment like as if it were an obstacle that I need to overcome? For many people, the present moment is always some kind of obstacle because they think they always need to get to some other moment desperately, but it's always this moment. Or am I reducing this moment to a means to an end, just a stepping stone to get to the next moment? These are all ways of denying the present moment, a means to an end, an obstacle, or even an enemy. So become aware and many times during the day and see, how am I relating to the present moment? And when you do that, what you're really asking is, what is my relationship with life? Because the present moment is essentially your life. It's nowhere else, never, ever. Your life, you can only encounter your life in the present moment, nowhere else. So it's a vital question to ask yourself what your relationship is with life. Because if your relationship with life is one of hostility, which is when you make the present moment into an obstacle or an enemy, then life always reflects back to you your predominant state of consciousness. So when you are treating the present moment as if it were something undesirable, your life experience will then reflect back to you that state of consciousness, which means you experience life as hostile. One bad thing after another, one problem after another.
But what if you really do have problems?
You have to always enter the present moment with your attention so that you find that space of now in which actually problems cannot survive.
In the now.
In the now. And out of that, because then that moment you contact a deeper intelligence than the conditioned thinking mind. That is the place out of which intuition comes, out of which creative action comes. It's the place out of which knowing comes, wisdom comes, right action comes. So you find, first of all, go deeper into now so that make sure that you are one internally with the present moment so that you're not in a state of negativity to do with the present moment, because that is the dysfunctional state. Now, you could, of course, take action on the basis of negativity. For example, you might feel very unhappy with having little money, and then you become angry even, and then you work extremely hard, and finally, after 5 or 10 years, you become wealthy. But all that action is contaminated by the negativity if it comes out of anger, and it will create further suffering for yourself and others. So the important thing is, am I aligned internally with the present moment? No matter what it is, you say this is what is, and you open yourself to that, and no matter what the situation is, you can always find something to be grateful for, because gratitude is an essential part of being present, because when you go deeply into the present, the gratitude arises spontaneously, even if it's just gratitude for breathing.
Wow.
It's gratitude for drinking a glass of water. It's gratitude for that tree that you see there. Gratitude for perhaps the aliveness that you feel in your body. Gratitude is there when you acknowledge the aliveness of the present moment. The power of life wants to come through you, but it can't. Only a little trickle, perhaps, if you're lucky, comes through. So the most vital thing for anybody who wants to even change their lives is, first of all, come to a relationship with the present moment that is one of openness, friendliness, acceptance.
Even if something is going on in that moment that
Even-
is making you uncomfortable.
Yes, even if it looks
Okay.
externally, the mind would usually judge it as negative.
You are very highly enlightened. Because that's hard to do when you're in the middle of a crisis, I got to tell you.
It's hard to do, but it's something for people to find out whether they can do it.
Okay.
And sometimes the mind will tell you, oh, there's no point in even trying.
All right.
So very often the thought that says you can't do it, or the thought that says you can't be present now because you've got too much on your mind, says the mind. So you don't necessarily have to believe every thought that comes into your head, and you see, oh, there's another thought that says I can't be present.
Yes.
And then you're present
Just
anyway.
keep going back to what we were saying on a previous show. In this moment, right now, I'm
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
Right
So
now.
the question was, how do I live? And that's how I live. But I'm saying the important thing is not so much how I live. The important thing is how you live. And the essence of this transformation, of this way of empowered living, is to make the present moment your friend. That's the foundation for
Okay, Wendy.
for empowerment.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Oprah. Thank you, Eckhart. Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
That's Wendy. I know Wendy. Wendy's my daughter. So that's how she got the first phone call. She's my life partner's daughter. So I've watched her grow up since she was a child, and we talk about these all the time.
Yeah.
This subject all the time. And when she heard that you were going to be on, she was like, "Oh, please." I called her and I said I would send the tape, and then I said, "You know what? Do you have a question?" And so she's been planning her question probably now for 6 days. It was great. All right, thanks, Wendy. I'm getting on to Anthony. Anthony, hello.
Hi, Oprah.
How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Eckhart.
Hello, Anthony.
My question has to do with human relationships.
Yes.
As evolving spiritual beings, how do we stay in touch and connected with other people, particularly family members and close friends that are highly unconscious?
All right. Yes. Thank you. Good question. That's many people will be able to relate to that question. When you feel that you are becoming more conscious, you're waking up out of identification with the mind, then in some cases you find family members, close friends, relative, they are still totally immersed in identification with ego and with thinking. Your primary thing, of course, primary purpose is not to expect others to be conscious. So first of all, you need to drop your expectation that others should be conscious or should behave consciously.
And also, there's a little bit of, I remember when I first started many years ago, becoming more aware, there's a little cockiness that comes, which is obviously your ego, I know that now, where you're kind of like, I know this and you don't.
Yes.
So you have to put that in its place also.
That's right.
Yes.
Because at many stages of one's awakening, the ego can come back in
Right.
and say and claim some kind of specialness.
Yes, because I know and you don't.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the moment you say I know and you don't, that you have identified yourself with a mental position, which I know, and that's the ego.
Yes.
So first of all is you accept other people, you accept where they are at in their evolutionary development. So first comes the acceptance of others, and then you may find as you continue to practice presence, as you continue to grow in awareness, you may find that certain people around you are also beginning to change. Some will, some won't. If there's the slightest readiness in a person close to you, then something that is happening inside you will transmit itself, so to speak, and also trigger another person's awakening. If there is an opening in the other person for that. So what people usually find as they awaken spiritually is that some people around them awaken with them, and then you're on that journey together. And they also find that other people, friends, drift out of their lives, gradually, those who are not ready to awaken.
Because don't you attract like frequency?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you attract very often, as you say, new people into your life that correspond to this new frequency that's arising within you. Now, one